everybody. My name's Travis, and this is the Daily Travesty. And what I thought we would do today is continue on in the Forgotten Realms, but do a little bit of sealed action. One of the YouTube subscribers, Pedro, asked if we would do some sealed, and yeah, totally. I love sealed. Sealed is super fun. Ooh, it's a bit loud. Sealed's super fun. That's what most people start out with their tournament careers. If you're going to like the pre-release events for new sets and stuff, you tend to do sealed. I really like it. You don't have to bring a deck with you. You just go and you get cards from them, and you build the deck out of it. And it's super fun. Teaches you a little bit about deck building, and the decks that you play against aren't super powerful. It's not like going to a standard F&M where maybe you're just starting out and you don't have that many cards and people at the store have like super powerful decks. Everyone's kind of on equal footing with sealed. And there's a little bit of luck involved with it, a little bit of random chance, so that's always fun too. Now, I see that there are two different types of sealed. There's the best of one sealed here. Costs 2,000 gems. I think playing best of three in sealed is a little bit more fun. I was actually thinking about this before the stream, is like, which version do I want to do? And if you do best of one, I think your advantage, if your deck is like really, really, really good, then you can kind of get people and they don't have time to like sideboard against you. Or if your deck is really awful and you just hope that every one of your opponents is mana screwed. So I don't know if I want to do best of one today or if I would rather do best of three. I think traditional sealed is a little bit more fun. It costs the same, and the prize payout is roughly the same. So I guess that doesn't really matter. I think I'm going to do traditional. Sealed requires sideboarding a lot of the time. That's sort of how you would play at a local game store and that. And there's actually a lot you can do with sealed because you're building a deck out of a limited pool of cards. Sometimes you're not sure what your last couple cards should be. And after you play your first game against an opponent, you can switch your cards around. You can sideboard, and that can actually give you quite a good advantage. Also, it's fun to see your opponent's deck and see the cards they play and then make a mental note and know how to play around them in the second game. So I think we're going to do traditional. I really like traditional. I don't know which one's better on Arena, but we're going to do traditional and see if we can have some fun with this. So super exciting. Open 6 packs and see what we get. All right, well, these are pretty good rares. Monk class is really good. I wasn't sure if this card would be that great. Just looking at it, it wasn't really obvious to me if it was good or not. But I've been doing some drafts over the last couple of days. Some of them are recorded, most of them aren't. I've done 8 drafts so far, some with good success, some without good success, as you can see in the videos. And I've never had Monk class, but when this card is played against you, it sucks to play against it. Like, comes down, they bounce something. A lot of people have been bouncing treasure tokens with this, which I think is hilarious and probably a good idea. And then if you get this thing to level 3, you just draw extra cards every turn. Now, it does require that your mana curve is pretty low, but I think if you're playing a blue-white deck anyway, like your mana curve is going to be pretty low. So really happy to see this card. I would love to play that card. And the thing about sealed is you want to play your most powerful cards if you can. You kind of bend over backwards to play your absolute best cards, because your opponents are also going to have 6 rares and they're going to be playing their best cards. So Monk class is something I definitely want to put in my deck. Tasha's Hideous Laughter, which is a spell in Dungeons and Dragons, exiles opponent cards until they do a total mana value of 20. So the average mana value in most decks is 3 and a bit. So you're going to exile cards until you've exiled about 6 or 7 cards, plus a few lands. So maybe you mill them for 10-ish. I don't think this is a card I'm super excited to play on its own. I don't think you just play this as a one-of. Like I said, I've done about 8 drafts in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, and so far, milling hasn't been a thing. I don't think me or my opponents have ever come close to being out of cards. unlike in Strixhaven where that happened semi-regularly. So I don't know if that's a card I'm going to play. Yonti Malazan is really good. This card just adventures every turn. They can't block it. Amazing. So really, really nice start to a blue deck here with the Malazan and the Monk class. We would really like to be in blue if we can. Forsworn Paladin is nice. Just you make a treasure every turn. The black-red deck wants to get treasures in play. I noticed when I was playing, there wasn't a ton of, like, you often aren't getting synergy cards with the treasures. More often than not, what's happening is you're just getting extra value off of the treasures because you have them lying around and you can double spell more often. So still really good. Giving a creature Death Touch and +2/+0 seems okay. This creature already has Menace, so black, that's a good aggressive black card. Zalto Fire Giant Duke. I think this card is decent. I mean, a 5-mana 7/3 is good if you can protect it. It tramples, that's nice. One of my opponents played this on me yesterday, and luckily I had the 2 mana up with the Dragon's Breath, so I just killed it and felt sorry for my opponent. But I think this card is pretty good. And I think Skeletal Swarming is decent. It's kind of hard to evaluate this kind of card until you play it. Like, you make a 1/1 that attacks every turn. If you ever get more than one skeleton in play at a time, this is really good. If your opponent has enough blockers, you're just sending 1/1s to die. But this also triggers your your death effects at the end of the turn. So I think this is actually pretty good because you make a 1/1 attack. If your opponent blocks it, your skeleton dies, and then you get 2 skeletons out of the deal. So that's actually really decent. This is a card I would be interested in playing. I think this is going to be good. So yeah, really nice rares. Actually, none of these are really misses, except maybe Tasha's Hideous Laughter. So nice to see our pool of rares pretty good. Just as a word to the wise, sometimes when you're doing sealed building, the program kind of sputters out a bit and all the cards go blank. If that happens, we'll just reset and come back in. So no big deal there. Next thing I look at when I'm playing sealed is there any kind of mana fixing? Now, there are no dual lands in Realms, but there are Evolving Wilds. So this is a card that we could put in our deck. It's likely going in our deck regardless. It just helps you find the color of mana you need. It does enable us to splash a little bit. So I do want to look at cards that might help us splash. I don't think Mimic is something that helps us splash. Treasure tokens are fine, but I don't think this Mimic card is like really that great. And now I'm just looking for other cards that help us splash. You happen on a Glade lets you go get 2 basic lands. So if we end up playing a green deck, that will help us splash. That's not a splash card. I would also be looking at things that make treasures, because those can help us splash as well. Like this Plundering Barbarian is kind of a card that you could splash off of. Obviously, the Forsworn Paladin can help you splash because you can get as many treasures as you want. And I don't expect to see a ton of stuff here as well. Okay, so we do have a couple ways to splash. If we end up in a green deck, we might be able to splash for some other cards. Oh, I don't like how they do the lands now. I liked how it was before, but here we are. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull down all the cards that I'm really, really excited to play. Yeah, Patty Lad, do we want a 3-color deck or are we shooting for all the rares to go in? We want to play as many of our rares as we can. We had some nice blue rares. And I think in sealed, more often than not, you're trying to splash if you can. So we'll see what we can do. Let's take a look at the cards we're really excited to play. Minimus Containment is awesome. This is a good card to have in your deck. It's a good card to splash. Just gets rid of anything. So I'm going to pull that down. I think Planar Ally is pretty good as well for venturing. And it's a good threat. Evasive threats are good in limited, regardless of it, whether it's draft or sealed. White Dragon as well. Sealed decks tend to be slower because they're less consistent than draft decks. You don't get to vet the cards as you pick them. So Oftentimes the games go a bit longer. You have a bunch of creatures, your opponent has a bunch of creatures, and if you're the only one with a flying creature, you can attack better than they can. So white is actually looking not awful. Even this Ranger's Hawk giving us some extra value off of Venturing might be okay. Mace is okay. Unicorn's okay if you can gain life. This Pegasus is good. So far the white's looking decent. Let's take a look at what we have in blue. Oh, just one other note. I adjusted the latency settings of the stream to be lower latency. So the idea there being that if I see messages in the chat, they should come up quicker. That being said, this also has a potential to make the video quality worse. So I'm just testing it out. You'll have to let me know if the video is suffering because of it. But the idea is that I would like to be able to have more real-time conversations with people. So anyway, I think Fly is a good card. Normally you would want your enchantments like this to give power bonuses, power and toughness. But giving the ability to venture on demand is pretty good. So I think that card's going to be okay. Again, it creates evasive threats, things that fly. Yonti Malazan is very good. Just ventures every turn, and there's the potential that maybe we build a white-blue venture deck. I think Bar the Gate is good in Sealed. Sometimes you play these kinds of cards in Draft, but in Sealed they're better because, again, the games go longer. Your opponents are playing their most powerful cards as well, and sometimes having a counterspell is the only way you can win. Double Charm Sleep is nice, actually. So blue looks really solid. Ooh, Feywild Trickster is a nice build around. It goes better in a blue-red deck because those are the colors that tend to roll dice. I don't know if you play Feywild Trickster with only like one die rolling card, like Contact Other Plane. This is a card I'm definitely going to play. But without any other ways to roll dice, I don't know if Feywild Trickster is good. So I'm going to kind of put that in the red pile. Even though it's a blue card, I'm only playing this in a blue-red deck. And Pixie Guide is actually good for that reason too. That is a card you could play in your straight-up blue deck, though. Just a nice flying blocker that can chip in for damage. So our blue and white looks really good so far. I think these Soul Knife Spies are fine as well. Maybe we give them flying and we draw extra cards. So our blue and white, like we already have 14 cards and we can add a bunch more. Like this seems really good to me. Forsworn Paladin is good. I think Warlock class is pretty good as well. Like worst case scenario, you get to level 2 and you get to draw a card off the top of your library, top 3. And then if you get any additional value from this and like pinning your opponent down, that's pretty good. So I don't know if this is a card you splash, but if we play black, we'll definitely be happy to play Warlock class. These Hexblades are good in exactly red-black. I think there are some games where you actually don't play these on turn 2 and you just wait until you have treasures so you can draw extra cards. I had a sweet draft last night. I wasn't streaming it, so you can just think I'm lying or something. Patty Laddie, I wish I had streamed that one. Ended up going 7-1 with a black-red deck, and we had some of these Hexblades in it, and yeah, they worked well. Like there was times I would save them until turn 3 or 4 to wait till I had a treasure, and then you draw extra cards. And the thing about the treasure deck is you can just play more spells. So having something that draws you extra cards later in the game that you can use your treasures to spend on those cards, it's really good actually. So as a 2/2, these kind of suck, but if you have a bunch of treasures, these cards are good. Death Priest of Miracle is good as well. Skeletons, vampires, and zombies, hey? Well, this is a warlock. That doesn't help. But we could buff up our 3 vampires? Wow. And actually, 3 of these drain effects with the warlock class seems pretty good. If we get to level 3, these deal 4 to the opponent. So this card is really good, though. If a creature dies, you can get a 1/1 skeleton. And we have that other skeleton generating card, so that seems pretty good. These vampire spawns are okay. I would definitely play them in my like black deck though. So that's something worth noting. I don't know if Zombie Ogre is that exciting. Like I said, I'm just pulling down stuff that's really exciting. There's a good chunk of black cards. Oh, Patty, what colors did you end up in, Patty Laddie? All right. So one thing I've noticed, I've done 8 drafts now. This is the 2-drop you want in the Pack Tactics deck. This card is great. Like, there's a lot of times where, like, this pretty much always has first strike if you have another creature in play. You play this on turn 2. You play like a Bugbear on turn 3, or the 2/3 that gives something +1/+0 every turn. And this is really hard for your opponent to block. So that's the 2-drop you want. Initially, I thought the Knoll Hunters would be better. And these cards are good. Like, don't get me wrong. The Knoll Hunter is good. But the Hobgoblin Captains, those are the 2-drops you want. So if you're drafting a red Pack Tactics deck, pick these Hobgoblin Captains before you pick like some of the other cards. Oh, you ended up in white-blue. Okay, so were you trying to do the venture thing? Did you get to go through the dungeon a couple times? So that card's good. Again, the Feywild Trickster's in the red pile because it really only goes with these like die rolling cards. Findings of Prisoners. Yeah, that card seems fine, right? People are more likely to have like rare artifacts and stuff, and you can always just play the best card from your opponent's top 3, which is good. This is a solid body. 3 mana, 3/3. I think Plundering Barbarian's really good for the same reason. You can destroy an artifact or ramp out a treasure. It helps you fix. Chaos Channeler is very good. Draws you extra cards, kinda. Faraday's Fireball is a removal spell. I think this Zalto is a nice big creature, so if we had ways to like maybe pump up the toughness, it would be good. Earth Cult Elemental's fine. If you're, I mean, usually by turn 6, your opponent's okay to sacrifice a land. But Swarm of Goblins is actually nice too in an aggressive deck. So our red looks pretty good as well. 3 Knoll Hunters is pretty crazy though. And Underdark Basilisk is a nice 2-drop, especially in sealed. Like, again, the games go longer and you want ways to kill your opponent's really good things. We have 2 Find the Path, which can help us ramp out something big. Spoils of the Hunt is a good removal spell. You Happen on a Glade is a way to fix mana, so that might be something we want to include. Owlbear is solid. 5 mana, 4/4 draw card, just a really good sized body. Okay, Pat, you didn't have any payoffs for the dungeons? Yeah, it is nice to just like go through the dungeon. I actually figured out how to change the dungeons too. If you right click on the card, it shows you all the different versions of dungeons. And just getting through a dungeon actually gives you a lot of value, but you kind of do want the payoffs, right? You do want the payoffs. So these Hill Giant Gorgers are nice, big cards. Like, that's bigger than almost pretty much anything else in the set. And gaining a bit of life can help stabilize you, so that's kind of nice. So maybe those are something we're excited to play. This can help us splash. Monk Class. Oh boy, this card is just so good. You just draw an extra card every turn. You don't get to play lands that you exile, but if you exile any spells with this that are relatively cheap, you just have access to so many cards. So I definitely want to play this if I can. And the second spell you cast every turn costs 1 less to cast, so it even helps you double spell. Like, it's just really good. Yeah, I mean, it definitely goes in the blue-white deck. It looks like our blue is a little bit better than the white. So maybe I'll put this in the white column. Just like, we're more likely to play Monk Class if we're playing white-blue rather than like blue something else. Oh, wow. Hama Pashar. We have 2 of these. And that is kind of what blue-white wants you to do. They want you to go through the dungeons. So if you can double room, that's a ton of value. That's sweet. Well, that's 2 more votes for the blue-white deck. I think Krydle is fine. End of sentence. This Skeletal Swarming looks pretty good and sealed, I think. It doesn't do anything right away, which is a bit of a liability. Like, You pay 5 mana, play the enchantment. Nothing happens. You end your turn, you make a tapped skeleton. You can't use it to block with that turn. Then your next turn, you attack with a 1/1, which probably dies. But then you get 2 skeletons. And then the turn after that, you attack with 2 2/1s. I don't know if this is actually that good. It's also an enchantment, and there's actually quite a bit of enchantment removal in this set. Like, we already have... oh, this is artifact. Okay, there is some enchantment removal, though, in the form of the white 1/3 cleric and some other stuff. So, I don't know about this. It might be a card we splash, though. Put that in the black pile. This is just a fine 2-drop. It's okay. I mean, it's better than a vanilla 2-mana 2/2. Really only putting this into a red-green deck. And our red and green are kind of matched on power level. So, Gretchen Titchwillow. This card seems pretty good, and it would be really good in sealed as well. The games go long. You're going to be able to draw cards more often. Getting extra lands into play is nice. So I'm going to add that to the green pile as well. Evolving Wild's obviously a card we want to play. And yeah. Okay, so we actually have quite a few options. It looks like black is probably our weakest color. We don't have as big a pile of cards we're excited to play here. So I think we're probably not going to do the black deck. So I'll take the black cards out. I could still see splashing Skeletal Swarming if we end up in a green deck. Oh, Patty Lady, you had Trickster's Amulet. That's the Invoke Duplicity one, right? Like, if you smash with it and hit, you get to copy a creature. Yeah, that card's really good. Okay, so what do we got? It does look like there might be an aggressive red-green deck here. Most of your sealed decks don't end up being aggressive because you don't have enough 2-drops for it. But if you have enough 2-mana cards, 2-mana creatures specifically, you can actually kill a lot of people very fast. So how many 2-drops do we have in red-green? One, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish. Are there any others? 7. Okay. So there might be a red-green aggro deck here. And I'm just going to start making notes. For those of you who haven't done sealed before, you don't want to just rush to make your deck. You want to spend a bit of time working on it. So if you're here watching the stream, we might spend an hour doing our sealed pool, trying different decks out. I think I want to try a red-green deck. I think our blue is really strong. I don't know if the blue-red deck is worth looking at. Where are our removal spells? We have 1 green removal spell. We have 1 expensive red removal spell. We have 2 Charmed Sleep. We have 1 Minimus Containment. Okay, well, I definitely want to look at the blue-white deck as well. I actually think that's probably going to be the most powerful deck. So maybe we'll start with that one. There might also be a blue-red deck here. But I think we're a little light on removal. Feywild Trickster's really good with die rolling. And if we played blue-red, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4 ways to roll dice. 5 ways to roll dice. 6-ish. Okay. So the blue-red deck might actually be worth looking at as well. Blue-red die rolling. So I'm most excited about trying the blue-white. Red-green would be just sort of your standard aggro deck. Blue-red might be okay, but it's a little... I think the red is probably a little bit weak. There's also maybe a green-blue deck with Gretchen in it. So let's start building some of these decks and seeing what we get. I'm gonna take out all the cards except the red-green. Let's start with red-green and just see if the aggro deck is possible. We'll know right away if there aren't enough creatures in it. Like, if we can't get to a reasonable number of creatures here, then it's not worth looking at. So 2 drops, 2 drop, 2 drop, 2 drop, 3, 3, 5. This is a splashy one, but green does have our splash color, so maybe we play that card. This is a 5. This is a 5. This is a 4. So if we're playing a red... I don't know if we're splashing this. If we're playing a red-green aggressive deck... we want this 2-drop. I don't know if we want those cards. Currently on 14 creatures. So we would need 4 more cards. We want more creatures in this deck. We have a good top end in this deck. We're splashing for skeletal swarming. We want more creatures. And we have room for 2 more cards here. Does this deck roll enough dice? We roll 3 dice. So I don't know if Barbarian class is good here. Maybe some of these compelled duels to help trigger our pack tactics. So if we play red-green, this is probably what our deck looks like. We only have 1 4-drop. The 4-mana Bard, the 3/3 that gives +2/+2 to a creature or gains 3 life is really good. So what do we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 2-drops. Total of 17 creatures. 1 removal spell, 2 removal spells. So this deck doesn't look awful. The problem is there isn't a ton of removal. Has good top end. I don't think this is an awful deck, but you really want to pair your cheap creatures with good removal. And I'm not really seeing that here. This isn't really an aggressive card. So this is okay. I'll just put a little, like, I don't know, neutral face next to it on my piece of paper. I don't know if that's a deck we're really excited to play. Let's try the blue-white deck and see what that looks like. Because that one I am excited to play. So what are all the decent blue-white cards? Like, every single one of our white cards is good. I would play every single one of those. Let's get every single blue-white card that fits the deck design here. Oh, these are just creatures. We got more. Oh yeah, this blue-white. Oh man, this blue-white deck looks awesome. Like, we put all the cards that are playable into it, and we already have 24 cards. So if the thing about sealed is you usually end up splashing, but if you don't have to, then you shouldn't. You should just, like, play your deck that runs well. So, like, this is already 24. This deck looks like it's going to be pretty good. What else would we play here? This is fine if we really need a 2-drop. I think I'd rather have the Pixie Guide. We do want to play cheaper spells because of Monk class. We want to double spell more often. But the white-blue deck is looking really good. Yeah. And we could even splash for something. What would we splash for in white-blue? Maybe a removal spell from somewhere, which I'm not really seeing any that would fit. So maybe even just the skeletal. No, that's a double splash. We can't splash that. I guess we could splash this Titch Willow. I don't think this card is as good of a splash because if you're using a treasure token to play it, then you can't like repeatedly use the card draw. So, yeah, Patty Laddie, that's right. 40% win with the green-red. That's what I would say too. It's not awful, but not enough removal. I'm liking the white-blue. We haven't tuned it yet, but I'm just going to put a smiley face next to it on my piece of paper because, again, we haven't even looked at it, and there's already 25 cards we're happy to play with some other options. So I think that's going to be a really strong contender. Let's look at the blue-red die-rolling deck because that one, I think if it comes together well, can be really strong. So all these cards are probably still in this deck. Like these are all just our good blue cards. Other cards for the die rolling deck: Arcane Investigator, Feywild Trickster, blue-red, right? This is a die rolling card. You just get advantage on all your rolls. You get to roll 2, take the higher one. It gives a creature menace. Yeah, that's probably a die rolling card. This is a good 2-drop. So all these cards go in. This is a die rolling card. I think that makes it good enough to go in this deck. I don't know if you want too many of those. This is also a die rolling card, and it's a removal spell, so maybe that goes in the deck. So based on that, again, there's 26 cards for this deck. So that actually might be okay, just based on sheer numbers. We have a good number of creatures here. We have 2 Charm Sleep, 1 Fireball, and we would probably play the Spiked Pit Trap because it's good with Feywild Trickster. Okay, I mean, this deck seems okay. Again, it's kind of suffering from the low removal thing, but we just didn't open very many removal spells. So I'll put a smiley face next to blue-red. Black-red would definitely accommodate a splash easier. Yeah, you're right, Patty Laddie. With the abundance of treasures, it definitely would. My problem with the black-red for our pool is we didn't get that many, like, exciting black cards. I would definitely play all of these spawns, these Hexblades. This Death Priest is good. But outside of that, we didn't really get a ton of good black-red stuff. So I think the last deck we were going to look at was blue-green. And just to see if, like, maybe some kind of ramp splash deck would be okay. So let's take out all the things that don't necessarily go in the blue-green deck. Maybe even Feywild Trickster is good enough in blue-green. Like, blue-green has a lot of 2-drops. Shepherd is kind of a repeated die rolls if you can get it through. Titch Willow is good. This is also the deck that splashes the best. What are the cards we would be most likely to splash in this deck? Probably the... oh, sorry, there's a whole bunch more cards. Probably the Minimus Containment is something we would splash. And the Monk class is something we would splash. None of the red cards. Oh, yeah. Spoils. Find the Path is a good ramp spell if you're trying to play like some bigger creatures. This is our splash card. Monk class we could splash. We could even splash this. I don't want to splash too many colors. And like, we have 2 good white cards versus 1 potentially good black card to splash. So I think this would be the bare bones for this deck. And this is also 25. So how does this look for interaction? So we have 3 possible decks that all look pretty solid. Again, we have the 2 Charm Sleeps, the 1 Spoils. We would potentially splash Minimus Containment. So this deck actually gives us the most removal because we also have Bar the Gate. So that one's also contender. So it looks like blue-white, blue-red, or green-blue are going to be our best options, built on the strength of our blue cards. So we're definitely playing blue, and we have to pick between the die rolling deck, the venturing deck, or this splashy deck. This one doesn't look as synergistic to me. Like, we have some kind of aggressive cards here. We have some defensive cards here. This is a life gain card that we don't make good use of in our deck. It's just something to play. This is kind of a venture card. This is a venture card. So this deck kind of looks all over the place to me. I think I would rather have more of a cohesive plan, even though this gives us the most powerful spells total. I think I would rather try for a deck that's more cohesive because we have those options. If we can play a 2-color deck, we should. So this might be something worth thinking about as an option. That's the other thing about Sealed, is you can build a deck, play a game against someone, and then if their deck is just way better than yours, you actually switch your entire deck to a different color pair to try and match up better. So maybe this is a deck we build up. We choose not to play it, but if we really, really need the extra removal, if they have a crazy bomb rare, or we really need the extra value, like from Monk class, this might be a deck that we switch to. This is already 25 cards. What are the 2 worst cards in this deck? It's probably these ramp cards, right? I mean, getting to 6 mana is not that big of a deal. We already have You Happen on a Glade to draw extra lands. This was the thing about draft that I kind of noticed when... So I had some drafts that weren't that successful, and I was kind of flooding out a bit with lands. And the decks I had that were the most successful, I actually played 16 lands in. So I don't think you do that in Sealed very often, but just as a heads up, when you're drafting, I think you can play 16 lands a lot of the time. Like, if you have a 5 or 2 5-drops and a 6-drop, and all your other cards are in this space, you might want to play 16 lands. It's not like in Strixhaven, where there's really, really expensive spells, or Lesson and Learn, and like extra value that way. I found that I didn't have a lot of mana sinks, a lot of cards that you can use mana on later, kind of like Gretchen. There isn't that many of these from what I've seen in adventures in the realms. So I think 16 lands a lot of the time is going to be correct in your draft decks. But that's just an early call that could totally change. I don't think I want these Find the Paths if this is my deck. I think I would just play 17 lands. This is 14 creatures. We have a splash for Minimus Containment and Monk class. We have some card draw. We have some big creatures that are hard to interact with. This draws us a card. We could put a fly on Soul Knife Spy, draw extra cards, adventure a bunch. Titch Willow can draw us cards. Like, I think this is probably the blue-green deck. Pretty close anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build this deck as if it was the deck we were going to play. Take a picture of it. And again, I don't think this is the deck we're actually going to play. But if we end up playing against a deck that has really, really powerful cards that we can't beat with our other decks, and we really need like extra removal, like Minimus Containment and stuff, I might switch to this deck. So just a thought. Not necessarily something we need to play, but and we have a bunch of blue, but we have more early green cards. So when I add lands, I want more forests and islands if it becomes a thing. Like this, maybe? This way, with the Evolving Wilds, we have 9 sources of green, 8 sources of blue. Plains, Evolving Wilds, Happen on a Glade can get us white mana. We don't generate any treasure tokens, but I think this is a good first pass for this kind of deck. And that might be something we switch into. So what I'm going to do is just take a picture of it. Again, this isn't the deck we're going to play, but in sealed, it doesn't hurt to make multiple decks and just pick the one that seems the best and maybe have others as options. So let's save this one. This is the blue-green extra value deck is what I'm going to call it. Not the deck we're going to play, though. What I want to put together next is the blue-white deck, which I think is the deck I want to play. And I mean, the two cards that we're splashing for in this green deck just go in the blue-white deck normally. So that's a good sign that that deck's going to be better for us, right? If the cards that we wanted to splash in that deck are just in our deck normally, that's pretty good. So cards that I don't know if Celestial Unicorn's going to be good. Depends how much life gain we get. Blue-white is more of a venture deck than it is a life gain deck. So target creature gets unblockable. That could be pretty good with our Soul Knife Spies. We could also make this Gloomstalker unblockable if it has Double Strike. That's pretty sweet. We could make this Shortcut Seeker unblockable. So that probably means you come to a river is fine. We can also bounce a creature. Seems pretty good. This is a flying 2-drop. That's probably good enough. And we might end up playing this +2 mace. So that's probably good enough. Hama Pashar, we have 2 of those. Get in. And that's 23 there with 15 creatures. It's possible Arcane Investigator is good enough in sealed because the games go long and just being able to draw extra cards is nice. I don't know if this card is that good in draft, but in the Feywild Trickster deck, it's probably good. Feywild Trickster not going in this deck. We don't have any ways to roll dice. Do we have any way to gain life? Doesn't look like it. So I have a feeling that Celestial Unicorn's no good. We do have a Ranger's Hawk, a Pixie Guide, a Cloister Gargoyle, and some cards that benefit from attacking. So maybe the Mace gets better. And then because of that... oh, I already have the Pixie Guide. Yeah, so maybe the Mace gets better here because we can suit that up onto a flyer. How are we venturing in this deck? We have Fly, we have Ranger's Hawk, we have Yuan-Ti Malazan, we have Cloister Gargoyle, we've got Bar the Gate, we've got Shortcut Seeker, Planar Ally. Yeah, this is the venture deck, and this deck looks sweet. I'm actually excited to see this in my sealed pool. And I don't think we really need to splash for anything. I think it's kind of tough to splash off just Evolving Wilds. And I would only want to splash for a really good removal spell, and we don't have any good removal spells that only cost 1 of a different color. Oh, sweet. Patty Laddie, you tried the Hammer Time deck? Yeah, that deck is super fun. For those of you that enjoy Modern. No, not Modern. What's the other word? Historic. There's a budget deck on MTG Goldfish called Hammer Time, where you basically use the like +10/+10 Colossus Hammer and cheat your way to getting creatures to attack with it. It's fun. It's a fun time. It's kind of, yeah. I don't know. You should just try it out, or go check out the videos we made on the channel. It's a good time. Okay. Anyway, this deck looks solid. We have a couple options as well, depending on what the opponent is playing. We have some sideboard options, which is nice. Maybe this Your Ambushed card is good if they have a bunch of removal. Arcane Investigator might get in if we need another 2-drop. If the games go really long, we could mill them for 10. So I'm really liking the look at this. I think we want in sealed 17 lands. So we have to get rid of 1 card. And the worst cards here, like this deck looks super solid. The worst card is probably Pixie Guide. But if we're going to play the +2 Mace anyway, like, does this give us advantage on anything else? I don't think so, right? Just our contact other plane. Yeah, that doesn't seem that good. It does chip in for damage. We're kind of light on 2-drops in this deck, although I guess we would want to play one of these other things. I think... How do we get the Soul Knife Spies through? We use the fly. We use You Come to a River. We use Pegasus. Yeah, I think the Soul Knife Spies are going to be good enough in this deck. And you know what? It is sealed. You don't need a million 2-drops if you have other ways to come back. Maybe Devoted Paladin is one of the weaker cards. This card is good. I would definitely play it, but I think having like planar allies better because of the venture mechanic. And a 4/5 with Ward 3 is pretty tough to interact with versus just giving everything +1/+1. Although this does help us attack with like the things that trigger card draw and adventures. I just really don't want to do nothing on turn 2. And Pixie Guide is good if we're playing the Mace. We've got a bit of top end up here. Maybe Devoted Paladin is something we're supposed to take out. It is better if you're like much more aggressive, and we're going to try and outvalue our opponents with like Hama Pashar and stuff. So I don't think we're that quick of a deck. I think this card is going to be good enough, especially if we put flying on it. We get to double venture. Yeah. I'm going to take the Orc Paladin out. Well, we only have 15 creatures here. I think this card is going to be good enough. I would consider cutting this, except we have some really good deals damage to the opponent triggers. And like I said, like making Gloomstalker unblockable when it has Double Strike is pretty good. So I think I'm going to take out an expensive spell. We also have Monk class, which incentivizes us to play cheaper spells as well. So I'm going to take out Devoted Paladin. I don't know if that's the right call. I don't want to go too light on creatures, but we are going to be doing a lot of adventuring, and we can make 1/1s and stuff that way. So Devoted Paladin is going to come out for now. I think the +2 Mace is going to be good enough. If you go into a long game and you have a Mace and your opponent does it, your creatures are just always better than theirs. Putting Mace on Malazan is also really good because it's unblockable if it attacks by itself. It attacks for 4 adventures. That seems really good to me. So I would much rather have the Delver's Torch. I think in draft as well, the Delver's Torch is actually a really high pick. That card is super good. Every time I've seen it played, it's done work. That's the 2-mana white artifact that gives +1/+1, but when they attack, they get a venture. So even if the creature dies, you still get to venture into the dungeon. Card's really good. I actually played a game yesterday where I used the threaten ability, the red card that like you gain control of your opponent's creature and it can attack with it that turn. I used that on a creature that had a Delver's Torch, and I was like, oh, this is great. I'll get to venture. And I attacked with their creature, and they got the dungeon trigger because Delver's Torch gives the owner of the equipment the venture, not the person that's controlling the creature. Anyway, I laughed at myself there. But anyway, this deck looks super solid. So let's finish this one off with lands and stuff. I don't think we need to splash in this deck. We will play the Evolving Wilds because this isn't a super aggro deck. And just having the essentially a dual land is kind of nice. We look to be more blue. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, I guess if we're doing 17 lands with the Evolving Wilds, we can have an even number of plains and islands. So this deck looks super solid. It has our best removal in it as well. It has the Minimus Containment, the double Charm Sleep. It has the Bar the Gate if they play something really big. That deck looks awesome. So I'm going to take a picture of that one. and save it. Patty Laddie, when you played Hammer Time, did you get to like do the turn 2 thing where you're like turn 1 play a goblin, turn 2 play hammer, play revoke strike or whatever? Did you get to like do the whole thing? This deck here? Uh-oh. What are you saying, Patty Laddie? Are we gonna have a tough time? Let's just take a look at the die roll deck really quick and just rule that one out as an option. Putting the best red and blue cards together and trying to get the die roll benefits. No splashing in this deck. Again, it's kind of tough for it. Oh, I guess we have treasure tokens here, right? This plundering barbarian gives us a treasure token. We can get treasure tokens when we go in the dungeons. We have Evolving Wilds plus a land. This might be a deck that you splash in. We would be splashing something that could help. Oh, we could also play the Spike Pit Trap for the extra die roll trigger. And we would want to splash not Gretchen, because again, we don't want to use a treasure token to play Gretchen and then not be able to activate her ability. We could splash Minimus Containment in this deck. Again, same thing. I don't think you would splash Monk class in this deck because you could play Monk class, but then you can't activate the ability. So the dual colored classes aren't really that splashable. This deck could also be solid, right? Okay, you went 4-0 with the hammer. Turn 4 hammer. That's the better one, right? Like, especially if you have the double striker guy in play. That can be good. This deck actually looks decent as well. We still get the fly. We could splash Minimus Containment or not. We could choose not to make the deck more consistent. Because we would need a treasure token to splash it. So maybe we just take that out because we have the Spike Pit Trap here. We want to maximize die rolling for Feywild Trickster. I don't know if... well, yeah, You Come to the River is still good because Soul Knife Spy, Shortcut Seeker, these are cards that still get in nicely. I don't know if the 3-1 Captain is that good, but it works well with Bugbear. And it actually works well with these Soul Knife Spies, so we would keep that in. Earth Cult Elemental is a way to roll dice. Maybe one of those is good. And we have to get rid of 2 more cards here. I think this card would be good enough in the die rolling deck. Just as a 2-drop. Like, these all seem good, right? Yeah, this deck actually looks pretty solid too. I don't think it's as cohesive. Like, we're leaning really, really heavily on drawing Feywild Trickster, which is fine, but it's one card. Like, if we don't draw Feywild Trickster in this deck, the quality of the cards is still pretty good, but then it kind of falls apart. Like, we're really only playing Swarm of Goblins for the die roll. We're really only playing this for the die roll. So I have a feeling this deck isn't as good. Barbarian class could be good, though. Again, only if you're rolling a bunch of dice. How many ways does this roll dice? Kind of one way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ways to roll dice. So you're gonna roll 2 dice the whole game. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that this deck's probably not as good. I am still gonna build it because I want to have the option to switch into it. And if I'm gonna switch into this, I'm probably taking out Shortcut Seeker. It doesn't really jive with the rest of the plan. And I don't want to go too low on creatures, so I need to get rid of something down here. Might just be this, you come to a river. Though it is like a pseudo removal spell. I think giving these Soul Knife Spies flying is worth it. Yeah, I mean, making this guy unblockable is pretty good too. Maybe Bar the Gate needs to come out. This deck is trying to be a little bit more assertive than the blue-white deck. So maybe Bar the Gate isn't as good in this deck. I don't know. Maybe this is what we would go with if we were doing blue-red. So I'll just keep it as an option. I don't need to put lands in. We would know what the lands are. So this is our third option. I'm going to start with the blue-white deck. I think that one plays our best cards, looks the most fun, and has the most cohesive game plan. All the cards in that deck help us either draw cards or venture. I think we're a little bit light on die rolling payoffs and enablers in this deck. We really only have the one Feywild Trickster, which is good. Like, don't get me wrong. But if we had 2 of the Feywild Tricksters, I would say that this deck is probably a contender. But because we only have the one, I'm not going to start with it anyway. So back we go. We're going to play blue-white to start with. Possible that we get completely ran over, but I think it's going to be a good one to start with. So put as many cards as I remember back into the deck. Nope, we're not playing the Paladin. Yep. Monk class. Whoa. And we have we have 3 dual colored cards. Like, that has to mean we're supposed to play this deck. Like, if you get 3 on color dual cards, gold cards, that has to be some kind of indicator that you're supposed to play that deck. So let's try and live the dream here and play a solid 2 colored sealed deck. I am a little bit worried that we don't have a good removal. We really only have the Bar the Gate and the Minimus Containment that can kill anything, and that's a little bit weak to me. I would like to see a couple more removal spells, but you play with what you get. So not going to worry about it too much right now. I'm just going to make these last couple cuts. No Trickster. No Investigator. It's arguable whether Pixie Guide or Investigator's better. I think Pixie Guide's going to be better most of the time. This is 23. We can get our Evolving Wilds and 8 of each color of our mana. I'm going to play the D&D lands. I mean, they're new, and I like to read them when I get bored during a game. So let's put some D&D lands in here. Playing this set of Magic makes me want to play D&D, which I'm doing twice this week, which is going to be great. So, okay, awesome. Let's go ahead and jump into our matches. Thank you, everybody that came out for that. Hopefully you got a little bit of value out of seeing me build a sealed deck. No guarantee that was the best deck. We're trying to build the best deck we possibly can. Doesn't always work out. But let's go ahead and see if we can get some wins with this. One last pro tip: if you're playing sealed, get a pad of paper and a pen, and if your opponent plays really crazy cards, write them down so that when you go to sideboarding, it can help you make decisions and so you can remember them for the next game, because we are doing best of 3 here. So let's dive in. Yeah, Patty Laddie. Charm Sleep is solid removal. There's enough way to kill enchantments in the set that I'm a little bit worried about them. But hey, that's why we play best of 3. If our opponent has a lot of enchantment removal, we'll just have to be careful about it. This looks great. Monk class on turn 2, bounce the first thing they do, and then every turn after that, draw extra cards. Ooh, boy. This card is insane. It plays really, really well. I was super impressed with it every time my opponents beat me with it yesterday. I haven't played this card yet, but I played against it quite a bit, and it's really good. This is a little bit scary, but our opponent is on the red-white plan. This is going to be a good target to bounce next turn with Monk class. And now we can double spell a lot easier. The second spell we cast every turn costs less. So that's kind of nice as well. Ooh, double lifelinkers. Interesting. Well, we have a couple options here. We can play the 3-2. I don't think I really want to block with it, but I also don't want to die to just like getting punished. I think our deck does really well in the late game. We could just activate this and bounce a creature to their hand, set them back a little bit. Next turn, we would be able to potentially double spell. So I'm going to do this and just bounce this. It's not super mana efficient, and maybe the right thing to do was play Soul Knife Spy, not block, and then the turn after bounce something, but we're figuring it out as we go. Okay, so this costs 3 to activate to draw extra cards every turn. We could also play Contact Other Plane, which doesn't help us on board. I want to play Rhyme Shield Frost Giant on turn 5. And that isn't going to let us double spell next turn anyway. Huh. Do we just take 4 here? Our opponent's stuck on mana. Yeah, let's just bury them in card advantage and see if we can draw some extra cards here. Ooh, Priest of Ancient Lore is really good. I would love to have some of those in our deck. Let's see what we get. And it's, ooh, Yanti Malazan. So we can play Malazan for 1 mana if we play another spell this turn, which means we can pay up to 4 mana for a different spell. So let's play Soul Knife Spy plus Malazan to get some creatures in play and get value off of our drawing extra spells every turn. And we can actually play Ranger's Hawk. I think I might save the Ranger's Hawk. I guess it could block Priest, but I would rather save it in case we draw something to play next turn and we need a cheap 1 mana card. Man, we are going to take a bunch of damage here. Yeah, I think I will actually play it. I would rather block the Priest with the Hawk than one of these other cards, which is going to be much better if we attack. I assume we're probably actually blocking with Soul Knife Spy here and using the Malazan to attack every turn. Yeah, this is fine. I don't want to get too low in life. Malazan ventures every turn. We can start going through a dungeon. That's kind of nice. And they probably have something here, but that's okay. Ooh, Rally Maneuver. That's a good one to write down. I don't know how to spell maneuver. That's okay. So it's 3 mana. Something gets +2 in first strike, +2, +0, first strike, +0, +2, lifelink. And we got wrecked there. So that's a card I'm going to write down. Now, what did we exile? A Charm Sleep. So we can pay this for 2 mana. If it's our second spell, 1, 2, 3, 4. That means we can play a 4 mana card this turn. We can't quite get the Rhyme Shield down. The other thing about this is you can do this whenever. It doesn't have to be the turn that it gets exiled. So I think I might just play the Rhyme Shield Frost Giant. It's going to put up a nice blocker here. And I'm also going to attack and do the Venture. What's going to be the best option? Do I want a 1/1 Goblin right away? Or do I want to go here, something can't attack, play extra cards? This is the better value path. This is like more immediately useful. This gains us a life. I think I'm going to go for the Yawning Portal. Dungeon of the Mad Mage and just go for max value here. And then if they end up playing anything really good, we'll have double Charm Sleep. Opponent with a ton of cards. They kind of got stuck at the beginning. Otherwise, I think we would probably have lost by now. They seem to have a very quick deck. So I'm going to write that down as well. They have a lot of 2/2s. A lot of 2-drops. So we do definitely want some cheaper, earlier cards. Sadly, we can't play lands that we exile with this. And they have a ton of stuff. So I think what we're going to do is start by attacking and scrying. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ooh, they do have lethal out. This is probably the turn we do the double Charm Sleep, especially because this is first strike, and that's going to be a really good card for them. So let's start by... I don't know if I want to... do I want to attack here? If I play Charm Sleep and other Charm Sleep, that's 5 mana, and that leaves 2 open. Maybe it's worth keeping Bar the Gate up. 4, so then we couldn't play both. And this just scries, yeah. Kind of tough to say what to do here. I think maybe what we do is pass the turn. I'm just going to pass the turn, actually. I'm going to leave up Bar the Gate and leave up Contact Other Plane. In both cases, we have something to do with our mana, but if they go like super aggressive here, we have an extra blocker and we won't die. Like this, for example. I mean, I guess that gives them a target for their whatever, but... So maybe it was worth scrying there. I'm not sure. Lots of options. It looks like we're probably going to get to draw 2 cards here. That plus whatever we get off the top of our library with Monk class. We also have the second Charm Sleep, which we would probably use on Armory Veteran because it has the potential to get Menace, and we're going to have a tough time blocking it if it does get Menace. Paladin is lifelink, but they're at so much life. Our plan is going to be to grind them out with value. Like, okay, so they're going to give this Menace. That's not good. So that's where our Charm Sleep is going next turn. And they probably just smash us for 4, right? I can't see them attacking with these. Yeah, 4 to us. Opponent grabbing a plains, most likely. So they aren't splashing. We get to scry 2, draw 2. That's sweet. Oh, boom. Both of these cards are going to be excellent. I would rather 5, 6, 7. Do I want to play the Planar Ally first so that I can guaranteed play Charm Sleep before playing White Dragon? No, White Dragon's a better blocker, and it taps something down on its own. Oh, we're going to draw both. Oops, sorry. Sorry, this is the scry step. I want both of these cards. And we got a You Come to a River. Ooh, Hama Pashar. Oh, that's going to be nice next turn. This turn, I want to play Charm Sleep. And the way I do that is by playing Planar Ally. Yeah. No attacks. I'm also going to write the Dueling Rapier down. Rapier. 1 mana, +2, +0. For our next game. Because remember, we are doing best of 3. We're going to play them next turn. Okay, double Dragon's Fire is nice. Dragon's Fire ×2. And here we'll kill one of the life linkers. Yeah. Rally Maneuver, double Dragon's Fire. Double Hobgoblin Captains. Opponent's deck is good. Oh, that was a land. Well, I think we have to play White Dragon, tap down the Hobgoblin Captain. We're like just not quite there with our mana. 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6. Is it better to double spell and play You Come to a River this turn? What are we bouncing? Probably nothing, right? No, we'll just play the White Dragon. Tap this down. And pass the turn. Opponent has a ton of life. I'm hoping they don't have a burn spell. It'd be nice to gain a bit of life. I don't think there's any other dungeons that do that. Oh, this card's good. 7/3. That would have been something nice to counter. So we're definitely going to bounce that card this turn. Right now. Return target non-permanent to its owner's hand. And can we attack? Yes. Leave these two back to block. Oh, oops. I forgot about the Hobgoblin Captain. That was a mistake. I probably shouldn't have attacked there. Hopefully it doesn't come back to... Okay, they didn't draw a pump spell. And they aren't really incentivized to attack here, so... Now, anything... Ooh. Does that help us? We put that on Hama. Yeah. I think that's going to be good, because then we can do target creature can't attack us next turn twice. Yeah, that's going to be really good. So I'm going to keep it on top. We don't get the value out of the double scry, but that's okay. They might attack us and put us to 1, but that would be a little bit aggressive. I guess this would have first strike, but we're going to block it with the 4/5 anyway. Oh yeah, I forgot about Monk class. Oops. Well, at least we still get to play it, so... Pixie Guide comes down. Fly goes on Hama. Attack with Hama. I should have attacked. Oh, man. Sorry about the mistakes. There's a lot going on. I should have attacked with the dragon as well, because we're going to make it so 2 of their things can't attack us. And we would still have blockers, so I should have attacked with the dragon. I mean, taking them from 33 to 29 probably doesn't matter that much. We might actually get milled this game, which is crazy, off of Monk class, but we're also going to, like, get to go through... We don't go faster through the dungeon, but we get extra triggers off of Hama, so that's kind of nice. All right, 4/2... Lifelink. What do you think they have? Oh, I don't know what they have. Oh, nice. Minimus Containment is nice here. I assume we use Minimus Containment to take out the first striker. Or do we just take out the Lifelinker? Probably the Lifelinker, actually. So let's just do that right now. Attack here, attack here. 1, 2, 1, 2. If they kill one, yeah. I want to have 3 blockers back, so this seems good. And then whatever we put on top of our deck is going to get milled to monk class, so we have to remember that. Cloister Gargoyle is fine. So I want 2 spells on top, basically, if I can help it. Because I want to be able to play whatever it is we draw off of monk class. Okay, we drew a land there. Not great. But we do get to... Are we going to just mill ourselves? We can exile the top 2 cards of our library and play them. What else is in our deck? There's another Hama Pashar. There is a +2 mace. And that's kind of it. I do not want to mill myself. And we would mill 4 cards. So we're going to do the Muriel's Graveyard this turn. They still have 2 things. I want to have 3 blockers. So we're attacking for 6. Yes. Oh, nice. There is a point where we're probably attacking with Frost Giant. Okay, well, Rust Monster getting first strike is pretty good. It can be a 4 something. Sack an artifact. I guess it could technically be a 6-1. Now we have Cloister Gargoyle. Oh man, we don't want to go to the Mad Wizard's Lair because we're going to draw 6 cards and mill ourselves. So that's something worth noting. We have enough blockers now that it's probably okay to attack with everything. This can be a 6-1 if they sacrifice Dueling Rapier. And I don't want them to kill Rime Shield thing, so I'm going to actually equip the Rime Shield thing. Here. I don't want to go to the last thing. Huh. Interesting. Okay, so we only want to hit once more. Because of that, I think we're supposed to play Cloister Gargoyle. Oh no, because we're not going to complete a dungeon. Okay, well, this is our life. Boom. 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 1, 2, 3. I want 4 blockers. So I probably just keep all of these. And I don't want this to deal damage to a player. So I probably attack with a 1-1. And we're going to get to see our whole deck now. We're going to get to scry 3 and then scry 3. And now we can't attack with Hama Bashar anymore, because we'll mill ourselves to death. And whatever goes on top, we'll get to play. We're never going to get to use the benefit from Gloomstalker. What else is in our deck? I think the +2 mace was the only thing we were really excited about. So the best we can hope for is just creatures. So I think that's probably the best we can do. and just get rid of any lands that are on top. Oh, Pegasus is nice. And we actually want to draw that card. So I'm going to put... Actually, I'm going to mill the Gloomstalker, put Pegasus on top. We'll do this. Because I want to draw the Pegasus. So we can smash for some more damage next turn. And then end my turn. This is a crazy game. We're down to 7 cards. We can't finish our dungeon. We're going to mill ourselves in 3 turns. But we have 4, maybe 5, 6, 7 power of flying if we re-equip here. We can pump this up to give it flying. Yeah, this game is insane. Do not venture. Chat, you need to remind me. Do not venture. Venturing is bad. Venturing is not something we want to do. At no point should we venture. Do not attack with this card, because we will mill ourselves. Do not attack with this card. Opponent with a lot of X1s and 2/2s. I don't think there's any way for us to punish that, but it's just something worth noting. They have a lot of 1 toughness things. Okay. Okay. No way to give trample, right? Patty Laddie, it's a classic daily travesty that I talked about how mill wasn't really a thing I'd seen in AFR, and the immediate next game, we are threatened to get milled. This is a classic daily travesty. Actually, so what do we want to do here? We want to deal 14. They're going to have 1, 2, 3 attackers. So we need 1, 2... 3 blockers. So we throw the mace here. We throw the Pegasus down and jump the Frost Giant. Go to combat. Attack with all the flyers. Oh man, we only have 14 minutes left, and this is game 1. And then we play this card. And then we have enough blockers. Next turn, any one of our flyers is lethal. We only have 14 minutes left, so we're going to have to play a little bit quicker in the next game. They have a lot of X1s, which makes Pixie Guide good as a 1/3. So I'm going to keep that in the deck for sure. In game 2. Oh no, that was what I was worried about, was trample. I was really worried about them getting a trample card. I don't know if they can actually beat us this turn. I guess Rust Monster. Yeah, that's sad. Okay, well, good job, opponent. We lose, right? So that's 7 trample damage. This blocks 2 damage. This blocks 2 damage. This blocks 3. I don't want to die to random damage, so I think we just load up here. This can be a 5, 6, 7, and we're blocking it with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's there, that's there. I think this is fine, right? And then we still have enough flyers to kill them. Yeah, that's fine. We still have 3 life, right? I guess they can... No, they can't sack the Morning Star because then it wouldn't have trample anymore. Yeah. Okay, totally fine. Don't attack with Hama Pashar. Do not go into the dungeon. Stay away from the dungeon. It is a bad place to be. It is a bad place to be. Attack for 3 and 1 more just in case. Oh my goodness. Okay, what a crazy game. That game was insane. It was super fun too. We're gonna have to watch out we don't get milled. What white, blue, or colorless cards do we want? They had a bunch of equipment. They had a bunch of X1s. They had some 2/2s. They had Rally Maneuver. They had 2 Dragon's Fire. They had the Rapier. Maybe your Ambushed on a Road is good against Dragon's Fire because we can give +1/+3. It's good against Rapier, so that might be a card I want to put in. I don't want this. I don't want any of the... Try and bring them down to our level. Yeah, I could see your Ambush on the Road being good because they had so many damage-based removal, and they had like tricky things, and they had the Rally Maneuver. So that could be good. What was bad in this deck? I think this is really good, especially against Rally Maneuver. This was good. This was... Monk class, so good. I think all of these cards are going to be good. Bar the Gate was good against their big creature. The Soul Knife Spies are less good because they have a whole bunch of 2-drops that have 2 power. So like I would rather have 3 toughness on my 3-drops rather than 2 toughness. So anything that has 2 toughness is worse in our deck. Even though getting to draw cards is nice. Is there a world where Secret Door is good? They were an aggressive deck. They didn't have very many flyers. This can't kill X1s, but we can always put a mace on this card. So I could see Secret Door being okay. We're going to be on the draw. Soul Knife Spy does trade off with like the Bugbear. And we don't want to go too low on creatures. Maybe just having Secret Door is good compared to a Soul Knife Spy. That might be the only thing I do. I could see adding this 2-drop to block with as well. Ambushed on the Road seems good. But I don't know what I would take out. So make a mental note that maybe... Oh, maybe the Fly card. Oops, sorry, I didn't lock it in. Removing the Spies can also limit self-milling. Yeah, that's right. I don't expect that to happen very often, but that was crazy. So I think what we want to do is the Road card... and stuff. I don't know if it actually made our changes. I think you have to submit your deck. Ooh, Paladin class is really good. This card is awesome. I don't have any way to deal with enchantments, but that card's good. So that is worth noting. And we have to play pretty quickly. We only have 13 minutes. That was a long game. All right, well, I want to put up something that can block here, so I'm going to play the 2/3. This also gets us extra value off of Cloister Gargoyle when it comes into play. I guess we already have an 0/4, so I probably don't want the wall that much. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll take 6. This card's so good. But we're going to use Minimus Containment on it, so... I would rather get the extra value off of Cloister Gargoyle this turn, although our life total is getting down. And do we have a 4-drop? Not that we want to play right now. Now that we've gotten the extra value, I don't mind trading off, and we are definitely going to do this and scry. It also gives us goblins. So let's go ahead and scry. 1 land that's blue doesn't... No, it gets us Planar Ally, but we're going to find other lands. If this is a land, I'll keep it on top. Yeah, I'll keep that one, because I want to be able to play this and start getting double value if they keep attacking me here. Although I expect I probably just trade this off for Priest. So my intention is to trade this for Priest, block the 3/3, take to play Planar Ally, and then at some point use Minimus Containment on Paladin class, because them having +1/+1 forever for everything is really bad for us. If they level this up this turn, that's also really bad. That might be a reason to use Minimus Containment earlier. I assume they have some kind of trick here. Remember that they do have that rally maneuver card. So I might just block. They can gain life. That's totally fine. They're also stuck on mana. So if we do get to stabilize, that's going to be pretty good for us. Okay, I see they wanted to venture. They wanted to scry to try and get their red mana. So now we go to 5. And now I'm going to play the planar ally just to be the most mana efficient. I really hope they don't activate this on their turn. I'm hoping to draw land next turn and play Minimus Containment plus Soul Knife Spy. I hope they don't activate Paladin class. Please play something else. Anything else. Come on. Be a bro. Okay. Well, that's fine. They're going to get double strike onto one creature. It's going to be massive. This is going to deal 8 damage to us. This can kill that. This can block that. And we take 8. Oof. Oof. But we did draw the land. That's awesome. We're going to play this here. Get rid of this thing. That's why Minimus Containment is awesome. It also gets creatures. And now we can't block this, but I do want to start venturing. We can get a 1/1 Goblin off of this. I think I don't attack this turn. I don't want them to play their equipment and then hit us and we die. So I'm going to leave Planar Ally as a blocker. Next turn, I'm going to play White Dragon, tap the Hawk, then I'll attack with Planar Ally, get a 1/1 Goblin, and maybe I'll even be able to attack with Soul Knife Spy. We're just trying to be defensive enough to still be able to live, and a flyer in play with all the equipment they have is really scary. Paladin class, hey? That card's awesome. That's a card I would splash. I would splash Paladin class. 1 mana. All you need is 1 white source twice, and then creatures you control get +1/+1 forever. And the third ability on it is so good. Like, giving something double strike is really good. Okay, yeah, that's fair. We both take 2 damage. I go down to 2. Whew. It's close, right? We're gonna have to start making some tough decisions. It is nice to have contact other plane. Oh, okay. Nice. So what was that card called? Come to the Knoll Camp. 2 mana, 2 no blockers. Okay, well, based on how that went, I don't want the Secret Door. We already have an 0/4, and these are bad because they can't kill the creatures. They just bounce off of them. Your Ambush on the Road seems really good, though, against them, and maybe that's better than this Fly ability. They have a bunch of removal. 2 Dragon's Fires. Although we are assertive, right? We're the assertive deck this time. I think to counter their combat tricks, Ambushed on the Road is going to be good. Not really sure what we would take out. Gloomstalker is good because it has 3 toughness. Yeah, I think we take out a Soul Knife Spy and add an Ambushed on the Road. But we're down to 13 creatures. That also doesn't seem good. I want to keep my creature count high. Maybe we're just supposed to add a 2-drop. And take out this Fly card. That's probably better. Just have a 2-drop that can trade with their 2-drop. The Fly card seems bad if they use one of their Dragon's Fires on whatever we put it on, so we're going to play first. I don't see a reason not to. Hopefully we draw another mana at some point. Come to the Road can save us a little bit. Charm Sleep is nice. We need a 3rd land, and then our hand is pretty good. There it is. And we have 11 minutes for game 3, which should be enough. And we'll play something that has 3 toughness, so it can block. And if we end up getting any room abilities, this will trigger twice, which is nice. Okay, Dragon's Fire number 1 is down. Make a note of it. Play another 2/3. I'm just talking quickly and trying to play faster because I don't want to time out here. They have enough combat tricks that I'm not going to block. Maybe they got us there, but that's okay. They wasted their whole turn 4. That's fine. Maybe this is a turn where I block. And if they want to waste their whole turn 5 using a combat trick, that's okay with me. It would be nice to block when we have you come to a river up, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Fireball? Sure, why not? Now they can't attack. We are going to just pass the turn. We're going to leave up, come to a river, and contact other plane. We will block, and if they try and do something funky, we can bounce their creature. Otherwise, we can draw 2 cards. Yeah, I guess that's okay. This is where that one card I was talking about would have been good to protect our card, but I'll take 2. I'll draw 2 cards. Hope to draw another land at some point. Oh, critical hit. Nat 20. That's awesome. I really only want 5 mana here, so I'll draw these. That's awesome. Feels really good. And then I'll play Rhyme Shield because it's hard to interact with Ward 3. Even Rally Maneuver doesn't kill this if we block. The Rapier doesn't kill it if we block. They could play Dragon's Fire, but then they get 2 for 1. Yeah, that seems really good to me. This turn, we're not attacking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I want to play Planar Ally, which means I'm going to play Evolving Wilds as well. Thin the deck out of lands. Pass the turn. No attacks here. They have enough removal that I don't want to leave just Planar Ally back on blocks. And they've used both of their Dragon's Fires. We didn't see another one. Rust Monster, sure. Go get a white mana. They don't have any treasures in play. That's kind of nice. Now we're going to attack with Planar Ally. And I want as many creatures as I can get, so I'm going to do this. So I can get the 1/1 right away. I don't want any lands. Pixie Guide is fine, because it's a blocker. Blocks Rust Monster kind of nicely. We're going to play Malazin, which can be unblockable. So I think right now we're probably always attacking with Planar Ally, but if they kill the ally, we can start attacking with this to venture into the dungeon. Okay, well, Portable Hole. I think that's okay. I would rather save the come to a river for when they try and do combat tricks. Paladin class again. Oof. This card's so good. Yeah. Card is so good. It also makes this cost 3. Now we play Pixie Guide, and we're going to hold up Come to a River. If they try to activate Paladin class and give something double strike, we can bounce it. We can bounce the Paladin class, actually. Right? Yeah. And then they have to respend all that mana. Although it's not a big deal. They have a ton of mana, but we might be able to kill their creature in response to them doing something. Here comes a 3/3 with double strike. Pass to blockers. Block. Sweet. So we get to eat their 2/2. They will get to replay Paladin class, but now they have one less card in play. They could always sacrifice this artifact, but that gives us back a 2/1. Just something to be aware of. They can have a 4/1 first striker. Play a 1/1, sure. Now do we get aggressive? Probably. Is this the turn to get aggressive? Probably not, actually. We still have 2 blockers. What are they going to do? They're going to play Paladin class. They can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Can they play 9 mana? 4, 5, 6, 7. So they can't get the third ability. They're going to make these +1/+1, which isn't that big of a deal. So I'm going to attack with these 2 and try and get ahead here. And I'm going to put a +1/+1 counter onto my Pixie Guide so that it blocks the Ranger's Hawk after they've used the +1/+1. It also brings it out of Dragon's Fire range. I don't know if they have another one of those, but we're going to save the Charm Sleep for later. If they play Paladin class and use their whole turn to pump up their creatures, they still can't really attack that well. So we're slowly gaining value. If they play something really big, we have the Charm Sleep. Like, see here, they can't do this unless they have the combat trick, the rally maneuver, which would be bad if they attacked with both. That would be kind of bad for us. But I mean, what are we gonna do, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage, potentially 8, 9 from a rapier. I don't think I want to block this turn. I'll just take 5. They can use rally maneuver this turn if they want, but then we don't lose our Pixie Guide. And that's sort of the value of having seen parts of their deck before, is like we know what tricks to look out for. They could just play rapier. Oh, critical hit. Wow, nice. So this gets double strike. They deal 10, 11, 12 to us, and we lose. Yeah, that's pretty good. Nice, good game. Did not expect them to play critical hit. That's the kind of card that if you see it in the first game, you write it down. I don't think this card is particularly good, but obviously it worked out well for them. So, awesome. Those were pretty good games. Those are 3 really good games. Yeah, not unhappy about that at all. I think our deck played out really well. I'm glad that we got the win in game 1. We drew our entire deck, and we got the win, which was good. The opponent played Paladin class in game 2 and 3. That card is insanely good. And even though we were able to bounce it, we weren't able to destroy it. So in game 3. So just something to watch out for. Yeah, and I'm excited to play again. I did not know they had the critical hit card. Maybe it was worth blocking with the Goblin there, but hard to tell. And now we can relax a little bit. I gotta bring my energy level down because I was playing so fast there to try and keep the timer good that now we're like chill, right? We have like a whole 30 minutes here. Get our blue. I think this card is really good. The 3 toughness is nice, and just getting extra triggers is good. I would rather venture more. Like, I like the cards that let you venture more better than this card, which doubles the things. Like, getting to scry 1 twice isn't really that good. Like, what if you keep the card on top? Getting multiple, like when we got 4 1/1s that first game, that was sweet. But I like the cards that give you extra triggers. And they whiff because this card is not very good. And here it looks like we're playing Pegasus and attacking for 3. No reason not to use all of our mana here. And we have at least one flyer we can chip in with. If nothing else changes, I think what we'll do is we'll just attack with this flyer, leave mana open. If they play a good creature, we can counter it. And if they don't, we can draw 2 cards. Contact other plane plus bar the gate is a nice combo. Okay, well, here's awesome, because we're going to play fly on Hamapashar, start beating in, and we'll still have the bar the gate up. And we'll get double triggers off of this. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now, what do we want doubles of? Probably still Lost Mine. Although we do have this on demand. We have enough cards to play that the scries don't really help. Do we just go for the big one? Probably. Let's gain a couple life here. And there is some thought to playing Soul Knife Spy, but it's trading for one of these cards, and I don't really want to trade it off. So I'll leave Bar the Gate, come to a river up, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, they attack us. They can't block, so they might as well attack. That's a nice card to bounce. Go to my turn. Maybe I should have bounced it last turn. And here, what do we get? 3 scries is kind of weird. I would like to have this up, but I can't do everything. 3 scries doesn't matter that much. I think what I'm going to do is attack for 2. I'm going to leave this back to block with, and then do the contact other plane bar the gate. You come to a river thing. Here's something on watch, eh? Ooh, that's kind of bad. But if we bounce it, we get rid of the fly card anyway. Yeah, that's okay. And now, because that happened, I might just play a creature instead. Is turn 5 that big of a deal? I don't know. I would like to draw a land so that I can leave up multiple spells, but... yeah, Pegasus, give this flying. That makes sense. Attack with a 3/3, this becomes a 5/4. It's pretty good. So maybe not the turn to tap out, but you can't, like, spend your whole life being scared of that stuff, so... and now they don't have the flying anymore, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play +2 mace. No, I'm just going to hold them. They don't have good attacks here. They can attack with this, but we can double block, so it's kind of okay. If they do nothing, we draw 2 cards. If they play a good creature, we have Bar the Gate. +2 mace is fine. If they go to equip the mace somewhere, we can bounce that card. Sure. Attack with everything, pass the blockers. Double block the Paladin. Bounce the 5/4. Down to 9. Now we go here. We can play Mace and hold up Bar the Gate. Doesn't seem great. But... I mean, they don't have any other ways to gain life. Maybe we're just supposed to play Soul Knife Spy. This blocks here. This doesn't block anything. I think I would rather do that. We would also get double scry triggers if we leave this up. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of tough to say what to do here. We didn't equip it, so that should alert them that we have something. Yeah. That's a good use of the opponent's mana. So they have Fireball, something on watch. 5 damage to attacker for 2 mana. We have to play something here. So Soul Knife. I don't mind trading here. We're gonna hit for 2. And we lose to the flyer. Seems fine. Okay. Yeah, so we kind of got outplayed by their flyer there. There's probably some better plays we could have made. What did they kill our thing with? You hear something on watch against the fly spell. Otherwise, yeah, pretty standard stuff. We saw, yeah, something on watch. We saw 1/5 damage removal spell. We saw 1/2/3 flyer. So it's possible ambushed on the road is good. Saw 2 good removal spells, which makes fly worse, but not that bad. I think these are fine. They match up power-wise pretty good. So maybe we want this and not the fly. I think fly is really good against opponents that don't have removal, but you don't want to play fly on something and then they hear something on watch and kill it, and then you lost 2 cards for their 1. 1 mana, that's not the right color, is a mulligan. Oof. Well, that's okay. I mean, we have 2 cards we can play. Our deck does seem to draw enough cards. So. Gloomstalker on turn 3, Shortcut Seeker on turn 4. It's a good defensive start. Ooh, Yanti is nice as well. But I'm just going to play the most expensive card I have. There might be a turn where we can play Charm Sleep plus Malazan in the same turn later, so being able to double spell on turn 5 might be nice. Here we'll attack. Pair of goblins, okay. Pair of goblins. 3 mana. Nothing from them. We're on mana to double spell, but that's okay. We're not using Charm Sleep on one of these anyway. Attack. And now we can play Malazan and leave up River in case they try to do something weird. Here's something on watch. That's probably enough of a reason to return this to our hand. 2/5 is really big against their deck, and getting the extra triggers is kind of nice, so the extra adventure triggers. Do they have a combat trick? Okay, well, they still trade, so they traded 1.5 for 1. That's fine. And now this can get in next turn unblockable. We can play Shortcut Seeker as a blocker. They can't block this if it attacks by itself. They can use Fireball on it. That's totally fine. 5 mana to kill a 2-drop is fine. Seeker, and then next turn we can play Pegasus, give this flying attack, venture, have a 2/3 back. Wow. Okay. Getting beat down by the 1/1. They have to run out of removal spells at some point, right? Now we deal 2 damage every turn. They deal 1 damage every turn. They have 3 cards in hand, though. We do draw cards pretty well in this deck, though. Sure. Now that they have 2 creatures, we probably have to play defensive. Flame Skull. This card is good. Can't block, but if it dies, you get to replay it the next turn. Our opponent's deck is really good. Cloister Gargoyle matches up nicely against Flame Skull, though, so that's kind of nice. And here, Yeah, I don't see us venturing that much, so we probably just want the scry and get rid of... Ooh, that's actually okay. If we get into a board stall where they're out of cards and we're out of cards, us getting to adventure every turn is not bad. Oh, sorry. I always think this has flying, but it obviously doesn't. So now we really want to adventure with the hawk so that this can have flying. Oh man, this is kind of slow now. Maybe we shouldn't have kept the hawk. Maybe we should have tried to dig for our dragon. No attacks. This has double strike. Yeah, kind of rough. The first matchup was a lot of fun. This one, I don't think our deck has been doing super well, and the opponent has had. Oh wow, yeah. The opponent just has so much removal here. Like, double fireball. Here's something on watch. Minimus containment. They're gonna get to replay Flame Skull, yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, not great, hey? I think if we drew our dragon that turn, we do have a chance, because we can tap something down, and the fourth... Wow, really? Okay, yeah. Multiple fireballs. Well, that's kind of a shame, but hey, that's how it goes. We're not going to get upset about losing. I mean, your opponents are allowed to win as well. I think our deck was really sweet. I'm a little bit disappointed that we only got to go off with it once. Like, that first game in match 1 was what I expected the deck to do. A lot more venturing, going through the dungeon. The monk class did its thing there. It's kind of what we expected. Like, we were pretty short on removal. We really only had Minimus Containment, double Charmed Sleep. So, yeah, I mean, maybe there was an opportunity somewhere there to switch into a different deck, but I couldn't see the dice rolling deck or the green-blue deck doing better. This deck definitely had much more potential to be powerful, and it was. Like, even in that last game, we could have drawn White Dragon. I guess they still had the third Fireball for it, so yeah, that was kind of tough. I think this deck is sweet. I think we built a good deck here, and it just didn't fall our way today, but that's going to happen sometimes. So we get 10% of our investment back, and we get 3 packs, which gives us max value for opening packs, because I had 7 and I didn't want to open them, because if you get to 10, you can open them all at once. So, hey, it's all about silver linings, right? So, anyway, thanks everyone who came out to watch the Seal today. I hope you got some value from it. It was a ton of fun, even if we didn't win, and hope everyone has a nice day. This has been the Daily Travesty, and we'll see you later.